Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In Conversation With. My name is Sinead McCrohan, and I am delighted to be hosting, I believe, episode 16 of this webinar series. So if you are a returning viewer, you're very welcome back. And if you have just joined us, this is a webinar that we run every Wednesday evening from 4 o'clock till 5 o'clock, and we focus on two undergrad courses in DCU. And we speak to two students who have either studied the course, are currently studying it, or even sometimes we speak to lecturers or academic staff members. And it's your chance to basically tune in and ask live questions to people who are actually doing a course that you may be interested in. So just before we get started, I'll draw your attention to the Q&A feature that is listed below. If you have any questions at all for our guests, feel free to put them in the Q&A box, and we will make sure to get them addressed. So whether it's about modules or about career prospects or internships, we will make sure to get those questions answered for you. So our 4 o'clock session that'll start in just a moment's time is going to be with Deirdre, who studies the Bachelor of Education for post-primary. So it's to qualify you to teach Gaeilge and another language, whether that is French, German or Spanish. And at 4:30, we are going to be joined by Fergal McGurk, who is a graduate of actuarial maths in DCU. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Deirdre Crohan into the call as a panelist. So Deirdre, you should get a notification in a minute and it should come through for you.
Hello.
Hey Deirdre, how are you?
Good now, how are you?
Not too bad at all. Thank you very much for taking the time to come and talk to us. You're not skipping any lectures, are you?
No, I'm free this evening, so
Good stuff, good stuff. So we have a couple of people who are tuning in live, which is great. So as I said, guys, if you've any questions for Deirdre, please do let us know, and she'll do her very best to answer. So as I said, thank you so much for coming and giving us your time. So you're currently studying the post-primary teaching degree in Gaeilge, and you're doing it with French, I believe.
French, yeah.
So if I was in 6th year, Deirdre, and maybe you could bring yourself back to your 6th year self, how did you stumble upon this course and how did you end up picking it in the end?
Well, I suppose from a young child, I always wanted to be a primary teacher. And then at around 5th year in school, I kind of changed and I wanted to do secondary school teaching. And Gaeilge was always my favourite subject in school, so I kind of started leaning towards I wanted to do Gaeilge. And I knew that it wasn't one of those subjects that was done kind of as a concurrent teaching like a lot of the, we'll say, practical subjects are. Mm-hmm. So I started just researching on Qualifax and Career Support and them places, and I happened to come across this course in UL, this Gaeilge and French course, which was brand new in UL this year. And I was researching that, and then after a while I stumbled upon it in DCU. I never even knew it existed there, and that's when I started kind of looking into it more, and I decided, yeah, maybe French. I loved French in school as well, and then I kind of was doing research on the differences in the courses between the two places, and I suppose DCU really appealed to me because of their structure of the school placement. So in this course, you go on placement in 2nd year, 3rd year and 4th year, whereas when in other colleges, you only go in 2nd and 4th year. And I just felt the more time you have on school placement, the better you'd feel going out. And luckily enough, last February, actually in the midterm break in school, shortly before lockdown, my mother and I decided we'd take a trip up to see the campus, Pat's campus. I know a girl there who is doing primary teaching, so she showed me around her room and stuff, and it was a day that college was on, so it was a real experience, and I just fell in love with the place. I loved the atmosphere. It was real. It was almost like Pat's campus is always like a school, it's real and real homely. And then that was kind of my decision made for me then. I said, yeah, I'm going to go to DCU.
It is. Oh, you're dead right about St. Pat's. There's a lovely kind of school and home kind of feel to it. And for students who are listening in and maybe aren't aware that DCU actually has 3 academic campuses. So you can be based on St. Pat's is predominantly teaching related degrees. So whether it's like early childhood education or primary school or secondary school, you'll have a lot of lectures down there. Then Glasnevin is kind of the other faculty. So like engineering, computing, science and health, business, humanities, that's all on Glasnevin. Then we also have the All Hallows as well, which isn't too far from St. Pat's, Deirdre, isn't that right? It's just stone's throw away. God, you can sprint over there within a couple of seconds. So you said you wanted to be a teacher and you kind of enjoyed languages then. What is it like to study two languages in great detail? Is that something that you were prepared for coming into the course?
It would have been, yeah. And I just mentioned one thing there about the campuses while we're talking about it. A really unique aspect of this course is that it's actually delivered on on the Glasnevin campus and the St. Patrick's campus. So I think that's a really interesting part of it as well, that you get the experience of the two campuses.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I've always been a language person. It's always been my strong point. I was always useless at maths, and I always had a great interest in languages. And I suppose it's always, in the back of your mind, oh, it's going to be heavy like with the two languages. But I think you kind of get used to it. And I think the biggest difference between school and first year in college is probably you getting used to using the language in a more daily use, applying it to your actual life. Whereas in school, you're just learning the language for the Leaving Cert exam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for us as well, because our orals were cancelled, a lot of my, we'll say, classmates in first year, we were worried that because we hadn't spoken our French or Spanish or German or Gaeilge since last March. So that was a worry for us, that how are we going to get on? We were a long time out of practice. But I mean, you just get back into it and you just get better every day by speaking it.
Yeah, exactly. And for someone who's looking into the course, maybe thinking about requirements, so you do need a H3 in your Gaeilge and a H3 in your European language, isn't that right? Yeah. So you can kind of build. You can kind of build on that then upon entry, because you have a bulk of it. But great to know that it is kind of more focused on how you'd use the language, because you're dead right. I mean, anyone who's experienced kind of doing oral examinations in secondary school, like you're just learning things off and just to say it, as opposed to actually thinking, okay, I need this to, whether to work in a business or work in a school or work, anywhere. You do need those like kind of specific terminology. So again, there is a Q&A function, guys, if you do want to ask Deirdre anything in particular. So you're just finishing up first year this year, aren't you, in a couple of weeks' time? Could you tell us a bit about what you've learned in terms of like modules in first year? And then would you know much about kind of how that will change in year 2, 3, and 4?
Yeah, so I suppose in the first semester of first year, the main content, we'll say, of the course is based around your languages. So you have your French or your German or your Spanish and your Gaeilge. And we did a little bit of, then we'll say, education theories, psychology of education, philosophy of education in the first semester. And then since the second semester started, it's been a lot more, we've been doing a lot more work on your application in the classroom, actual teaching. Like currently now we're doing a module called micro teaching. So that's where we teach each other, our peers, we teach each other and we give each other feedback. So we act as a first year class for each other. And of course you still have you're doing your languages all the time on the side as well, and you're trying to bring stuff together. So as you're learning stuff in your language lectures, you're always thinking in the back of your head, when I have to teach this, how am I going to teach this? And I think that's a really interesting part of it, that the two are always going along each other at the same time, that while you're learning it, you're also thinking, how am I going to teach this in 4 years' time?
Yeah, of course, because as you said, it's a language teaching degree. So not only do you have to have the knowledge for yourself, but you actually have to, as you said, like pretend you're a first year student and think, okay, how would I be able to, to comprehend this? No, all very interesting. So you're kind of prepping almost for school placement, like not quite just at the minute, but could you tell me a little bit about like how that placement will work? Do you know much about kind of how, like, will you have to have an inspector, like lesson plans? How will all that end up?
So we'll say our first school placement now will be next, we'll say at the start of second semester of second year. So this time next year we'll just be finishing it. We'll have done it in January and February hopefully, and that's for 5 weeks in second year. So usually on your placement in second year, you get to choose what school you go to. So a lot of students will go back to their old secondary school just because you're familiar with the building, you're familiar with the teachers there, and they'll be able to help you on your first placement. And you'll have tutors who'll come out maybe once or twice, obviously your lecturers who will be your tutors, and they'll just sit in your class and give you feedback and have a look at your lesson plans, making sure you're getting on okay. And it's really emphasized that you're not just in the school to teach, you're in the school to really immerse yourself in the school environment. So you have to get involved in extracurricular, homework club, teams, football teams, all that kind of thing. And then in third year, you have your second school placement, which takes place in the first semester of third year. That's 5 weeks again. And then you have 15 weeks in fourth year. And on both them placements, DCU place us in a school. And again, you'll have your tutors come out, make sure you're doing okay, your lesson plans. And all the time you'll be building on, you'll have more hours in the week. You'll be moving up. You start off with first year's classes, you move up to the senior classes and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, you will have a wealth of experience by the time you finish in this course, and you'll be like a newly qualified teacher, so you can go out and start teaching straight away. I'd assume that's kind of the plan for you at the minute. But would you know of many people, or have you heard of people who have maybe gone down a different route after they have done this course?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this course is so unique in the fact that you will qualify, you'll have 3 degrees essentially. You'll have your Gaeilge degree, your modern language degree, be it French, Spanish, or German, and you'll also have an education degree. So, I mean, the world is your oyster at that stage. I know a lot of people, you have the option there of if you've Gaeilge, you know, there's loads of jobs in the country for Gaeilge. You have your translating, media, journalism, TG Cahir. Of course, then you can go and work in your country that you have the language for.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all them options. And even if you do go into education initially, you still have the qualifications of the other of your languages as well, so you can branch off and do something different after a few years.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, because for someone who maybe is listening and is thinking, yeah, I'd like to be a teacher, but I'm not sure if it's exactly what I'd want to do forever, or maybe I want to travel. As you said, you're not just qualifying to be a teacher, like you have a very high level of 2 languages, and of course you can go wherever. There is, and I'd say this is up in the air at the minute, just in this given year, but there is an option to study abroad, isn't there, in this course?
There is, yeah. So in this course, you have your Gaeltacht placement and you also have an Erasmus placement. So the Gaeltacht placement is 2 months. You don't have to do the 2 months all at once, but as long as at the end of your 4 years, you have 2 months completed in the Gaeltacht, then that covers you for the teaching council to be able to teach Gaeilge. And then your Erasmus placement takes place in the second semester of third year. So you go to a DCU partner university in either France, Spanish, or Spain, or Germany, or one of those in a country that speaks their languages, and you just spend time there, go to classes in that university, immerse yourself in the language. And a lot of students then would choose to actually stay on into the summer to work and of course practice more of the language, and then come back in September to go into your final year then.
Mm-hmm. So even for someone who is passionate about languages and wants to travel, you can do it within this course. Like not only, as you said, go to the Gaeltacht for a while, but actually study abroad. And again, that's not often associated with many teaching degrees in Ireland. So it's a great, like that. Yeah, like it's a great gem to know. And again, for anyone who's just entered, there is a Q&A function there if you want to ask Deirdre anything. We might take a step away from the course just for a second, because I'd love to ask you about your experience as a first year kind of during this pandemic. How have you found the online learning side of things and getting that kind of individual attention from lecturers or tutors?
So obviously, yeah, it's been a unique experience. Or personally now in our course, we haven't been on campus at all, just because our course can all be delivered online. But I have to say, I mean, DCU have been absolutely fantastic for that connection, like the live classes. I know I have friends from school that are in other colleges, and a lot of their classes have been pre-recorded, and they haven't had that that live connection. Like in our classes are small. There's only about 12 of us in any lecture. And we have that live conversation with our lecturer all the time, and it's brilliant. It really is. It's like it's as close to being in a lecture hall as is possible. And I really hats off to DCU for that, because it's not the same everywhere, and we are lucky that we have that opportunity, that when we go to when we go into campus, hopefully next year, we'll actually know what our lecturers look like, and we'll know what they sound like, and we'll have that relationship built with them already because we do live lectures all the time.
Yeah, it's great to hear that you had such a positive experience, and I know like different people have found it just differently, but between like having to go onto campus or just having online lectures or using breakout rooms. But as you said, fingers crossed, and with the vaccine rollout and everything, we hope to be close to normal next year. You know, we'll just obviously guided by public health guidelines as much as we can. But it's nice to hear that you did have kind of a good experience of it so far. When you are online, how many hours a week would you have lectures for?
So I can just go through my timetable quickly. It's probably the easiest. So I'm actually off on a Monday. I have no lectures on a Monday. Then on a Tuesday morning, I have two-hour lectures on a Tuesday morning. So that's 4 hours on a Tuesday. I've one lecture on a Wednesday morning, two on a Thursday, and one on a Friday. So it's about maybe 10 hours a week live max. So it's fine. It's very manageable, like, and it's nice that they're live as well, because for me, I would find it's much more motivating that you know you're going to go on, you're going to see your classmates, you're going into breakout rooms, you're going to actually have a conversation. It's not just pre-recorded where there's no one to talk to.
Yeah, no, it's very engaging, and as you said, motivating to go on, because I'm sure we're all craving to talk to someone new that's not in our household. So no, that's fantastic. And as I said, for anyone who's just entered the call, there is a Q&A function there if you do want to ask Deirdre anything. Deirdre, for someone who's in sixth year at the minute, because you're not long from sixth year yourself, do you have any advice for them, whether that's in relation to looking up different colleges and courses, you know, research on modules, or just sixth year in general, and any words of wisdom for our listeners?
The biggest piece of advice I could give is it will all work out in the end. And at this stage, I'll be saying is start getting your bits of information together. Don't worry about CAO. Don't worry about, oh my God, what am I going to put down in the 1st of July? Just now start looking and say, okay, I'm interested in this. Go to virtual open days, look up the structure of courses. It's really important to know what the structure of the course is, because for me, again, I picked DCU because of the school placement structure. That's what did it for me. And yeah, I would say do your research, and everything, it always works out in the end, and you know, you will be where you want to be in a few months' time.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're putting as much content online as we can for prospective students. So, you know, things like this, to have live conversations with students, or anything on dcu.ie/CAO is really applicable. You know, if you want to learn about courses or watch back recordings from open days, or we'll have our next open day in spring on the 17th of April. It's a Saturday. For people to tune in, and maybe Deirdre will be back doing a presentation about this course. But you know, it's just a nice way to really gather that information.
Really important to make sure you go to the open days and all that kind of thing. Gather all the information you possibly can, and armor yourself with everything you have to be able to make that decision, because it makes all the difference when you have all the information together, and you know then you've confidence in your own decision because you've done all the research.
Exactly, and Deirdre got lucky in that she got to leg it up to St. Pat's before the lockdown hit. But you know, we've created campus tour videos so that you can see what our campuses look like, and you can message ambassadors who are studying in St. Pat's to see what it's like. So yeah, as many things as we can cover, we're trying to do that, and let us know if there's an area that you want us to cover. And there's no questions coming in relation to the course at the minute, Deirdre. I think you're knocking it out of the park in terms of supplying information. Maybe just before we let you go, in your short first year that you've had in DCU, is there a particular highlight that you'll remember from your first year of this course?
There's probably a few. I know probably a lot of my highlights have probably been extracurricular stuff. Back early in the semester, I actually did a referees course. I play ladies Gaelic football, and DCU actually put on a free ladies referee course. So I actually qualified as a referee for nothing, for no money. Yeah, so that was great. And I'd probably say then definitely my highlight has been getting involved with this student recruitment and, you know, helping, because I know how it felt to be in sixth year last year, and you know what, really needing those answers to them questions, which of course I was able to get. But I'm really passionate about that, about helping other people make their decisions, and that's definitely been a highlight for me, getting involved with this, and yeah, helping other people to make their decision to come to DCU.
Yeah, and thank you for getting so involved. That is really the core of, you know, the student helper or the student ambassador program, is that you're there to, you know, provide guidance and support. And, you know, you're not there to just pretend everything is absolutely sunshine all the time. Like, you'll be honest, if a module is hard, you'll say it's hard. If you're finding online learning difficult, you'll say that it's difficult. But it's just because you know what it's like to be in that position of a sixth year or whoever who is just confused about options, and it's nice that you're kind of willing to help, and that's what all of our ambassadors are like in DCU. So just maybe before we go, if you want to cover a little bit about that club and society aspect of college, because you have managed to get involved, you know, even through the pandemic. So did you do much with the Gaelic football, or did you kind of expand to other societies as well?
So obviously I did join the Gaelic Football Club, but obviously I'm not up in Dublin. So that's just kind of, we do like quizzes and Zooms and that kind of thing, but obviously we can't actually play at the moment. But I'm also involved obviously with the Gaeilge Society and the French Society. So they just hold, we'll say on this evening now, on a Wednesday evening, the French Society hold French chats. So we just go on from students from fourth year to first year of all different levels, and we just go in and chat, very informal. We're there to help each other, chat about current, you know, what's going on in the world, in college, in our lives, what are we finding hard. And the students who are very fluent in French help the likes of us who are maybe struggling with something. And then I've got involved with other societies as well, the Tea Society, because I love tea. Drama. There's so many societies, and there's something for everyone. And I really would say, even in your lectures as well, just take that leap and just say hello to someone. Just, you know, really open yourself up to someone, especially in breakout rooms, because you have an opportunity there. Now, hopefully, come this time next, we won't be on breakout rooms anymore. But even when you are in a lecture hall or on campus and someone is in your class, you know, just take that leap and say, how are you finding the module? And, you know, that is how you make friends. And everyone is in the same boat when you go into first year. Everyone is worrying about making friends. Is the lecture going to be hard? How's the course going to be? But once you just get into the swing of things, it all just falls into place anyway.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. And we hear it quite frequently on this series, is to just get involved. And if people have any regrets, or graduates, they always say, I just wish I did more. So here's that warning for anyone who hasn't begun in college yet, or anything like that. It's absolutely worth just getting involved in everything. Or even, as Deirdre mentioned, like, you can get involved in things that actually assist your course, like you know, French Society or the Gaeilge Society, and you can actually get together and improve, not only like, or you know, get involved in something you're interested in, but also improve your own skills and knowledge of the language. Like, that is just, it's a win for everyone. That's absolutely perfect. And before I let Deirdre go, if there are any questions, please do throw them into the chat. One that I might just ask myself, because I don't know the answer to it, is how would you often be assessed for this course? Is it a lot of exams, or is it more continuous assessment and essays?
So all of first year is actually continuous assessment. So we had no exams at Christmas, and we'll have none in May. So it's a lot of assignments all the time, nothing difficult, but really lots of variation. So we do loads of making videos, recording ourselves speaking, making infographics, presentations, PowerPoints, all that kind of thing. It's very rarely your boring typical essay. It's that real variation that I suppose is preparing us for when we do go into a classroom. And so it's a continuous assessment, but it's broken down nicely over the semester and every module. So you're never under too much pressure. As long as you just keep on top of things, it's grand, really.
For sure. Deirdre, thank you so much for joining us and in conversation with. For anyone who maybe is telling a friend about this or anything, we are here every Wednesday, and this session is recorded as well, and we'll be able to put it on our website. So if someone does want to watch it back and has any queries, they can get in touch. But Deirdre, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for that insight. I'm going to put you back into the role of the attendee now. But everyone, that was Deirdre Croghan with a fantastic overview of the post-primary school teaching for Gaeilge, and then you pair it with a language, so French, German or Spanish. So at 4:30, I'm going to be welcoming Fergal McGurk into the call, who studied actuarial maths and has now graduated from DCU and is out in the workforce. So what I'll just do is I'll just mute myself and turn off my video for a minute, and I'll see you guys back here at 2:30. Welcome, Fergal.